So there was a shooting in the Ville. For those of you who don't live in New York, that is Brownsville, Brooklyn. And something about this is making my melanin tingle. I'm just gonna show you what I've seen, and I'm gonna let you come to your own conclusions. I'm gonna just tell you, I'm gonna show you all the things that are swirling around in my head when I hear these reports about the Brownsville shooting. So first, let me show you what happened in the Ville.
Fired during a block party in Brooklyn.
It happened at around 11 last night, just as that party was wrapping up. And police tell us one of the victims died at the hospital. 11 others were hurt. So far, nobody's been arrested.
And right now, that area is still roped off in crime scene tape in this neighborhood in Brownsville. That's where News 4's Drew Wilder joins us live, where there are calls now, Drew, to stop the violence.
Yeah, absolutely, Ren. Actually, when we got out here late last night, just after midnight, that was some of the very first things that we heard people in this community say. How can we not just have a party without violence? A lot of people saying that year after year there are issues with this party. And last night, once the shooting finally stopped, 12 people had been shot. One of them was killed. Witnesses described the chaos of hundreds of people stampeding through Brownsville Park, jumping behind barricades, trying to get away from the gunshots on Saturday night.
My friend I was with, he just told us to run, and I turned around. After 2 shots, I felt something hit me in my back.
Denisha Mardaw was one of the 12 people shot. Thankfully, she had her family there to help.
She screamed, "Sister, I'm shot," and I just ran to her.
I couldn't see. All I was hearing was screaming, and people was falling. It was too much.
She tried to get out. It was no exit. There was only one exit, and that's where they were shooting. So we was trying to run to that exit. We was told again, run again. So we had to run back all the way to the end of the park and wait until the EMS come.
Mayor de Blasio and Commissioner O'Neill say they're taking this very seriously and promise to find out who's responsible.
If you look back historically at shootings, violence within Brooklyn North and specifically the 7th precinct, about half of them are gang crew related. So that's a thing that we're going to take a look at, definitely.
Okay, I'm going to read you the last paragraph of this article now, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to read the rest of it, but I'm going to just read this part first. Brownsville gets $9 million in an anti-violence funds following wild shootout. Okay? More than 100 officers were patrolling the block party when the gunfire erupted, which O'Neill said prevented more people from being shot. There were 100 police officers in the area because of the block party at the time.
So far, nobody's been arrested.
And right
now, shout out to Clee's report, because I've had this video for quite some time, and I just didn't know the ancestors hadn't told me yet when to use it.
We show you surveillance photos like these all the time, and maybe you recognize the person in the video, but your eyes can deceive you even about your own child.
Yeah, that's really true. And tonight, we actually show you a stunning local case that will make you scratch your head a little bit and wonder if what you just saw was indeed real.
And it also illuminates what prosecutors say is a real problem. Eyewitness accounts. They say they're so unreliable, they may just be the worst kind of evidence.
In 2010, he held up multiple tri-state banks, and the surveillance video hit probably every newscast in Cincinnati.
It's something you would see in a Hollywood movie. I don't think any of us have seen anybody do anything like this.
He talks about killing cops.
This is the bank robber.
We believe to be an African-American male.
Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieter says people were convinced they knew this guy.
We had it on video.
They pointed at the same guy, the same house. They were sure it was this man.
We put out a Crime Stoppers tip, and we got about 5 or 6, 7 phone calls. I know that guy. He lives on this street. He lives in this particular house. And when the detectives went to that house, they knocked on the door. His mom answered it. She said, "I know why you're here. I just saw on television my son robbing a bank."
This is that woman's son. Take a look. He looks incredibly like the guy in the surveillance video. Police took the son, whose identity we were not given, into custody. Then they got a call from another woman who said they had the wrong guy, that it was her boyfriend who robbed the bank, and this is her boyfriend, Conrad Zerdiak.
Actual perpetrator was white as could be. He had bought a theatrical mask from Beverly Hills, which cost a few $1,000s, and it's very lifelike, and he had it on, and it looks like the guy they called Crime Stoppers about.
I mean, his mom said.
His mother said it.
He did it.
He did it. It looked just like her son.
Sunglasses covered Zerdiak's blue eyes. gloves covered his hands.
That just tells you don't believe what you see all the time, because you could be dead wrong.
Joe Dieters will no longer take one person's word for it, ever since this man was wrongly imprisoned for rape based on one person's identification.
You can't rely solely on identification. It's a recipe for some type of disaster. And I think a disaster is an innocent person in prison.
He says eyewitness accounts are the worst kind of evidence.
I would consider identification as one piece of evidence. It should never be the only piece of evidence.
Well, Conrad Zerdiak will be in prison for that robbery and other robberies until 2035. And we want to show you something. The prosecutor let us borrow this. This is the mask used in that crime. It has been sitting at my desk now for about a week, freaking everyone out.
The whole newsroom's been
yeah,
talking
I mean,
about
it's really, it's unbelievably lifelike. And the poor guy who just happened to look like it did nothing wrong. Right. Absolutely nothing wrong. But this thing, you can look him up. You can buy them several $100s,
right.
Thousands of dollars.
And there are several cases actually across the country where it is thought that people are using these types of masks,
Hollywood masks,
to get away with crimes. Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
really, really
I'll
remarkable.
attest to the creepy part. I'll
It
tell you
does.
that.
Sure
It's
is.
very
But
realistic.
It does also
yeah.
question, like, you got to question what you see. Did you really see that? His mom thought it was him, and it wasn't.
Before I go on, let me explain Brownsville to y'all, okay? So, out of all of Brooklyn, Brownsville will be the last area to gentrify because there are a lot of project buildings in that area. It's a concentrated area of projects, right? So, in my opinion, the last two neighborhoods that will be gentrified in Brooklyn will be East New York, and then Brownsville will be the very, very last. So, it is interesting to me that this happened there. And a place that they are trying very hard to get the people out. Now let's read the article. A long-time crime-ridden Brooklyn neighborhood is getting $9 million from City Hall for safety measures in the wake of a wild shootout at a packed block party there last week that left 11 injured in one day. Mayor Bill de Blasio, Council Speaker Corey Johnson, and other city polls on Tuesday announced new funding for Brownsville. They say will bolster and expand services supported by the mayor's office to prevent gun violence and the mayor's action plan for neighborhood safety. It includes $5.2 billion to renovate the Brownsville Houses Community Center. It's the project's community center. Or Brownsville Houses, and $140,000 for a new NYPD security cameras and public lighting around the Brownsville playground site. The camera and lighting upgrades are expected to be completed by year's end. The funding also includes $1 million in new funding to expand a city-run violence disruption program in Brownsville's 73rd precinct. It also includes another $1 million to boost the health department's Brooklyn Neighborhood Health Action Center. I'm sure they'll be giving out vaccines. And $590,000 for Brownsville Neighborhood Youth Stat, which trains youth in community organizing and crime prevention.
They'll have white supremacists who will speak in behalf of black people. And then you have white supremacists who will speak against black people. And they have all gotten their heads together before they make this move. And so what does that cause? That causes confusion in the minds of black people. Because you've got some white people who are speaking up in behalf of black people. That even went back to the days of the lynch mobs. You would always have a sprinkling of white people on the edge of the crowd saying, please don't lynch that Negro. That's a nice colored man. I know him. Please don't lynch him. Please, please, let him live. And then the other white supremacists are saying, no, lynch him, lynch him. And then the Negro would get lynched. And then the crowd would break up. And then next week they'd come back and do the same thing. And then the week after that. And the week after that. But see, that's a little understanding that they have among each other. I'll speak up for him. You speak against him. But the end result is he's going to get the raw end of the deal. He's going to wind up getting lynched anyway. But what that will do, that will confuse people because they won't know that we're working together.
Wonderful. They already got it.
Somebody said, what do I suggest? Motherfucker, what's understood don't have to be explained. What do you suggest? I suggest you shut the fuck up and stop acting dumb. When it comes time to deal with power, niggas want to act dumb. I suggest you do what white people would do. That's what I suggest, nigga. You do what white people do. What do white people do when they're dealing with tyranny? That's what I suggest. I'm not going to sit up here and lay out a map for your ass. You want to play dumb? What do you suggest we do? Do the same thing you do to other niggas. Do what you do when a nigga do you wrong. When a black person do you wrong, you know what to do then. You know exactly what to do, and you risk it all to do it too. Man, I don't know now. I might go to jail for life. You in jail for life for killing another nigga, beating another nigga. You do anything to another black person. You risk it all to do something to another black person. But when somebody else do something to you, I was confused. Let's go down to the Edmund Pettus Bridge and get in some good trouble. Yeah? Now it's good trouble time. You don't know what to do. Now it's good trouble time. Niggas want to act dumb. Stop. You know how to stop somebody from terrorizing your ass. You know how to do that.